So tell them about our technique, the order in which we build costumes.
The order in which we build costumes is we have the list of who has to have what and how many things. We make cards for every change that says specifically what they're going to have on and what act and scene it's in. And then we sort them out. Major characters, minor characters. Minor characters got made first. Because the minor characters create the set, if you will. They may not even have lines, but if they're not dressed correctly, it doesn't matter what your leads have on, because the mood is broken. So we always, because minor characters usually don't have changes, they usually only have one, at the most 2 costumes, we make those first. And then we begin, and actually it's a good way too to force us to really begin to think while we're sewing pants and pants and pants for all the soldiers and all the hoods for the soldiers. We're talking the whole time about, well, for this character you do this. Well, you know, what about this? What about this fabric? You know, the whole time we're discussing what we're going to do for the major characters in the next couple of weeks. And so by the time we get there, we're warmed up sewing. The machines are running well, and we have got everything laid out. You know, this is so-and-so's, here's the pattern, these are, you know, this is what we're going to do for them, and then we start working on them.
So that you hope that your best skills and your best attention is then focused on the leads. However, sometimes we run out of time.
Tanya,
as Tanya can attest, this dress under here.
The underdress is what
I wore.
It had a big train because it was medieval.
Right. And it did not fit well. It did not fit well. It was before I learned that you really needed not just to the measurement, but you needed to incorporate something called ease, which is the amount of space that the person who wears the costume needs to breathe. It wasn't until we did this show that I remembered ease. So it was a concept that came slowly to me. So we opened up. So this was too tight.
This was open at night.
Right. You know, the other thing is that you know, medieval Renaissance has a very curvaceous look to it. Medieval is like this. So depending on the actual figures of your women, you may or may not be suited to that costuming, and you have to. So anyway, so we opened up the armpits here so Tanya could wear the dress, and time just slipped away, Barbara. And opening night, just as people were lining up, Tanya stood graciously like this with her open armpits while Barbara and I slapped a piece of fabric underneath and madly sewed her into her dress. So that's what happens at the last minute. And this whole outfit is like a catalog of last minute stuff. This was Gertrude's bodice. The other side is reversible, and this was worn by Cassio's girlfriend. I forget her name, but she's like Bianca. Thank you. In Othello. Thank you, Johnny. And we had the outfit for Gertrude, but it needed a bodice, and I had the fabric, and I had it, and it, you know, it was 3 o'clock on opening night, and we hadn't cut it yet. And Elizabeth Barley was getting more Cecilia, what about the bodice, you know. But there were so many other details to handle, and I went into the costume closet and said, please, somebody send me down a costume. And I remembered this, which we hadn't included because it didn't fit the palette. Turned in, looked at the reverse side and went, bingo! And we quickly added this. So this was done, you know, opening night, day, evening, late afternoon. So that was a fortunate thing. So we have this of creating the costumes for the actors, and it's not just creating. Sometimes we actually put more stuff in there. Little magical things that maybe the audience won't even notice. We have details that audience members will notice because they're up close. But there are other things that are just special treats for the actors. And this is Jean Smallins, besides mentor Joan Mary Morgan. Jean was like our guardian angel, and she passed away during As You Like It, September did As You Like It. But Jean was really one for putting special, wonderful little labels with a little, you know, like Chinese good luck symbol stamped on it, you know, so that you would label the actor's name and the character. And just things like that, that the actor would see, but just kind of a little secret. So we did things like that. We have done things like that. For instance, this is, I'd like to do this with embroidery. And this is Cassio's from Othello. And right here, this quilting is reputation, reputation, reputation. This is his lines about reputation, about losing his reputation, are all right there on his sleeves. And
So if he forgets his lines, he can...
yeah, well, maybe. And for Scott, of course, this is, you know, I'll put a girl around the earth in 40 minutes. There's a lot of Puck's lines. What fools these mortals be are all kind of embroidered freeform on this vest. So we have little treats like that. And this goes down to the smaller characters as well. We had, I know Rebecca Fisher, this was when we did As You Like It, set in 1900, like the founding of Arden. And this was her hat, and she was just part of the people who came into the forest with the Duke. And so this is her hat, and she just loved this hat. She loved wearing it. She loved singing in it. She sang a beautiful hat. And the other thing we did is in Hamlet, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, when they arrive at the castle, I think Gertrude says, "How have you been?" or something, the equivalent, the Shakespearean equivalent of that. And one of them says, "Well, on Fortune's cap we are not the very button." But, you know, but we're okay, right? So we put buttons on every hat in that show. Everybody got a button. And this was Newton's. He loved this. He loved this. This is another found hat. This is just a little pillbox hat that we added all this trim to define it. And then the button. And Newton just loved his hat. Sort of like that.
Yeah, a lot of the guys, they'll like want certain hats because it's just...
Can I wear that hat again?
Can I wear that hat?
So, and the other thing we did for Desdemona is we actually, Margaret, no, Archer. Marguerite Archer. She did embroidery. She embroidered Desdemona's handkerchief. So we did not have just a found handkerchief. We had something with beautiful strawberries embroidered on it. So close up the audience could see it, but also Desdemona got to carry it. And you know, it's a major plot piece and you want it to be exquisite. And she did have an exquisite hand-embroidered handkerchief. So I think that brings us, we just, how important all the details are, the tiny details, the little actual portraits, to creating this other world for both the audience and for you know, persons, you know, special persons, for the audience and the actor. And I think that for many years has really set us apart, thanks to the guidance and the inspiration of, you know, professional designers like Joan Mary, who's helped us out so much, like Jean Smallins, who taught us so much, and learning from people like Janet Arnold, the kind of craziness that it takes to create this other world. And I think that's really set our shows apart for many, many years, was our attention to